The way the album started really was just Evan. We had always talked about how at one point we wanted to sit down and the next step would be to write a full-length record. And Evan was the person who sat down and said, guys, he didn't really even ask us. He just sent us a message saying we're going to write a full-length album. We're going to record it over winter break of next year.
So pre-production for the album was a little different than in the past. In the past, what happened was we wrote a bunch of songs over time with no exact time constraint.
Because when we were writing the EP, it was a lot of just, here's 7 songs that we have written over the past 3 years. Let's throw them on an EP and slap a cover on it.
But with this one, instead, we set out with a very
specific plan of action so that every month or 2 months we would have 1 or 2 songs finished as a way to motivate us and give us a framework from which to work the time frame of how we would write the album.
We decided, you know what, in about 8 months we want to have an entire full length written, and we want to have a CD out in exactly a year.
When we were writing this, we had a chance to sit down and decide exactly what we wanted from each and every single track, and to write it over a more condensed period of time so that it would feel like a more unified album.
The first song we technically wrote for the album, we had recorded The Poor Servant of a Poor Master a couple months prior. So that was really our starting point as far as style was concerned and the direction that we wanted to take on this record.
Our writing process started, I guess it would be the beginning of the summer, early summer in about June.
Where everything was at that moment was a breakdown and 1 chord progression, which later turned out to be Small Gates.
And that was where we kind of used that song as our reference point to where we'd come from and where we wanted to go and things that we wanted to explore on this record that we hadn't been able to do previously.
We used GarageBand a lot to demo out all of our stuff. It was actually a very key tool.
And allowed us to be very critical listeners when we would go back and listen to the material that we had worked on and what we had already gotten onto the demo.
Even when we weren't working together, we would bounce ideas off each other, through emails, and send them to one another and see what we thought.
I think that helped the writing process go a lot quicker.
It gives us a lot of playroom to really create the exact sound that we want in a CD, which I think is, one of the greatest things about demoing.
When we wrote this record, the main writing space that we utilized was Steve's basement, in one room particularly, and that room is essentially an 11 by 13 box.
Working in such a small writing space really helped the productivity of it all. Everything came out a lot faster because when you're so cramped.
When you put in all the equipment that we were using, all the amps and the drums and the PA speakers and the pianos and the synths and the bass guitars and all that stuff, there really wasn't much room.
Then you don't have as many little distractions around you. It's so much easier to keep that work ethic going rather than getting distracted.
And it made the writing process feel very tense and almost sort of desperate feeling.
We got really sick of each other really quick. Well, at least I did, because I was really sweaty and really tired, so that's probably why a lot of the parts of songs are really tense. And people may disagree with that, but your environment plays a big toll on how you create a song.
And there's certain sections where just the writing of a certain section was a cathartic experience in itself, not only to write something, but as a way of just getting out the tension of being in this room with these 4 other guys that, as much as we all love each other, since we feel so strongly about certain things in a song, we might have, butt heads with our opinions on a certain section.
In the last a week and a half or so leading up to going into the studio, we decided to set up a computer every day that we were practicing or writing, and set up a Stickam webcam so that people could watch us on the internet as we were in the process of finishing up the album.
Which was really neat to be able to show our fans, and perhaps even new people, what we were doing to prepare for the album, because we want to make our fans feel like they're part of the process as opposed to just being a receiver of the end result.
And then one of the days we just started out filming us eating breakfast and really, really stupid stuff. And then by the time we took it down to the basement, we had been put on the front page of Stickam, and by the end of the day, we had accumulated 3,700 viewers watching us write the album in Steve's basement, which was just really cool to have so many people watching us, like, in a very intimate moment, you know, as we were, you know, stressing out and putting all the finishing touches on the album.
We want them to be there with us through the entire time and just see what we do, exactly what goes into the album, so that when they finally hold the product in their hand, they can say, I've been there with them through this entire thing.